All right, so today we're diving into something pretty fascinating.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
looking at gender dynamics in comedy, specifically how female comedians are kind of pushing the boundaries with sexual humor,
Right.
and doing it in a way that, maybe male comedians aren't.
Yeah. Makes
And
you think a bit more.
exactly. And
Huh.
so we want to kind of look at why that is and what that's all about.
For sure.
Yeah,
So, we all know that comedians, they draw on their own lives for material.
right. Their own experiences, anxieties, all of that.
Exactly.
It's all fodder for comedy.
But I don't know. I never really thought about how being a man or a woman
Mm-hmm.
could, actually impact the kinds of jokes they tell.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a whole different lens.
Totally. And
When you watch stand-up, how does gender influence what's funny? Especially when it comes to sexual humor.
yeah.
Have you noticed that a lot of female comedians are pushing the envelope more these days?
I have, actually.
It's a big change from how things used to be.
Mm.
And the research that I've been reading about this is fascinating.
Really?
Like, get this. Female comedians now actually use more sexual humor than male comedians.
Really? Wow, I would not have guessed that.
Me neither. So that's kind of what we're trying to unpack today. Like, why is that happening? What's going on?
Welcome to Gender Decoded, where numbers align, seeing the stories that they define, breaking the barriers, truth untold, insights in gender, the metaphors.
Specifically, how female comedians are, well, using a certain type of humor more than we might expect.
More than male comedians, even.
Exactly. And that's what really caught my eye in this analysis we're looking at.
Hmm.
It's focused on how men and women use humor differently, especially when it comes to, well, sexual humor.
Hmm.
And the results. Let's just say they kind of flipped the script on what we might assume.
Definitely not what I expected at first.
Right. So, ready to dig in.
Let's do it.
Okay, so this analysis, it looked at a whole bunch of comedic material, like stand-up routines, late-night monologues, you name it. And the numbers show pretty clearly that female comedians are using proportionally more sexual humor in their acts. So the big question is why?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's not a simple answer.
Yeah, I bet.
But one thing this analysis really highlights is that it's not about shock value. It's about something much deeper.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Like, what kind of deeper?
Well, it's about breaking down barriers and using humor as a tool to, to challenge those societal norms we all kind of live with.
Ooh, I like that. Provocation is progress, right?
Exactly. See, for a long time, there's been this sort of unspoken rule that women shouldn't talk openly about certain things, especially anything related to sexuality.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's like that whole seen and not heard kind of thing, but about, that.
Right. And I think what we're seeing now is female comedians saying, nope, we're not playing by those rules anymore. They're talking about sex, relationships, their bodies in ways that are funny, honest, and sometimes a little bit shocking.
And that's where the power comes in, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like they're reclaiming those narratives and saying, we're going to talk about this stuff on our own terms.
100%. They're not shying away from these topics. They're owning them.
Love it.
And the thing is, by being so open and direct, they're actually driving some really important conversations.
Oh, absolutely.
They're challenging double standards. They're making people think differently about gender roles.
It's like that saying, humor is the best medicine. But in this case, it's medicine for, societal hangups.
I like that. And it's not just about making a statement. It's also about connecting with audiences on a really authentic level.
Oh, for sure. Because when someone's up on stage talking about their experiences, especially things that might be considered taboo or personal, it creates this sense of, hey, I've been there too.
Absolutely. It's relatable. And for a lot of women in the audience, it can be incredibly validating to hear those experiences reflected back at them, especially in a way that's funny and empowering.
It's like that feeling of being seen and understood,
Yeah.
And it makes you realize you're not alone in those experiences.
Exactly. And, it's interesting because the analysis also looked at trends in male comedians' humor. And it found that while they definitely use sexual humor too, their routines tend to cover a wider range of topics.
So it's not like they're avoiding it altogether.
No, not necessarily. It's more like maybe they're sticking to what they know, those more traditional comedic tropes that have been around for ages.
Makes you wonder if it's partly because for so long, comedy was a boys' club.
Yeah, and I think that history definitely plays a role in how different genders approach comedy, the opportunities they get, and even the expectations audiences have.
That's such a good point. It's like the very landscape of comedy has been shaped by these gender dynamics. So maybe it's not so much about one being better than the other, but more about how different experiences lead to different comedic styles.
That's a really great way to put it.
It's all about perspective, right?
Exactly. And I think that's why it's so exciting to see this shift happening now as society becomes more open to diverse voices in comedy.
And in general.
Yes, and in general, it allows for new perspectives and new ways of using humor to connect with audiences.
Makes me think about how much the feminist movement has paved the way for more women to not just be on stage, but to really control their narratives and talk about what they think is funny.
Totally. It's like they're not waiting for permission anymore. They're just going out there and doing it, and audiences are responding in a huge way.
So basically, the use of sexual humor by female comedians is like way more than just a trend. It's a reflection of how our society is changing, how women are claiming their space, and how humor can be this incredibly powerful tool for, sparking conversations and driving progress.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Wow. This whole conversation has really been eye-opening. And I think it makes me wonder, where does comedy go from here? What do you think the future holds?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I think it'll be interesting to see how this trend continue to evolve, as new voices emerge and different perspectives come to the forefront.
Well, for sure.
But one thing I'm pretty sure of is that the boundaries of what we consider funny are going to keep expanding. It'll become even more inclusive and more reflective of the diverse experiences of both the comedians and the audiences. And that's a good thing.
It is. It is. It makes you think about how, even just a few decades ago, certain topics were totally off limits in comedy,
Yeah.
And now it's like anything is fair game as long as it's, funny and thought-provoking.
Yeah.
It's a really exciting time for comedy, I think.
Definitely.
I'm so glad we had this deep dive today. It's definitely given me a whole new perspective on what's happening in the world of comedy.
Me too. It's always fascinating to see how humor reflects our cultural landscape and how it can be used to challenge and even change the way we think about things.
And for anyone listening out there, I hope you'll keep that in mind the next time you watch a stand-up special or catch a live show. Pay attention not just to the punchlines, but also to the deeper messages and the perspectives being shared.
Great advice.
Because you might just be surprised at how much there is to unpack, how much it makes you think, and, most importantly, how much it makes you laugh.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on another deep dive, everyone. We'll catch you next time.
See you then.